bad bitch, I'm a bad bitch, one.
Deeper.
Yeah, at the end of it.
All right, now I'm recording.
We're back.
So we're pretending we're starting over. We were having a fake podcast for 11 minutes, but it's 6 a.m. my time, so I get a little bit of a grace period, I think. We're going to do a brief fly through Optimum recap and then chat about glutes. So I'm going to pretend we haven't already watched Manuela.
It's okay. The thoughts are going to be really concise now.
I know. I love her suit. She looks beautiful in red.
She does. Red's a pretty color. I love overall just the package she brought this week. I think we softened up where we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
There's no spot on her that I think you just automatically go to. It's very balanced, top to bottom for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just watching the video.
I know, she's so beautiful.
Sometimes she's just pretty. I always love her makeup, her hair, just not that that's nearly as important as everything else, but.
And I do believe that's the reason why, like, you know, the red also goes very well with her. Like the makeup, the presentation, everything, it fits her vibe. It's natural on her.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's just, she's pretty. She's a pretty girl, pretty muscle.
Yeah, so then there's our top three. And one thing that I think is interesting is Tyler shared his New York Pro recap, and he mentioned that Lena's legs were a touch on the hard side. And it's interesting because I think back to the Pittsburgh Pro recap that he did, and he also mentioned the same thing about Lola being a touch on the hard side. So I'm really interested in learning who, in his opinion, has like nailed figure conditioning, because it does seem like he's trying to make a clear divide between like physique conditioning and figure conditioning, because I do feel like in the past few years it's gotten harder and harder. And you look at Gabby over here, like her legs are super, super deep cuts. And I don't wonder too if Adela and Manuela are very comparable. I think they're very similar, but Adela's just a touch harder. So I don't wonder if that went against her a little bit.
I agree. And even the tan kind of looks a little different. Mm-hmm. I would assume these are all both from APC.
She had like a tan issue.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if her skin or like her skin prep, if she ever has a hard time with that, because didn't I remember thinking she was a little light at New York too?
Yeah. But she does her own tan, as far as I know.
Does she?
Yeah.
I think one thing that's important, and I'm not saying this is her problem, I'm just speaking in general, I think skin prep is more important than people realize. Yeah.
Sometimes it's harder also when you come from like a more humid kind of country to somewhere a bit drier. Then you'll have to put in a little bit more effort to moisturize, because it will turn out differently.
Okay, yeah.
Lovely point.
Yeah.
So between third place and second place, I can see why Adela ranked second, because like her upper balance in terms of the arms, the shoulders, it does proportionally match the lower body a little bit better than third place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Manuela just has a beautiful like glaze, color, entire package, everything there, which is just such a beautiful presentation, I think.
Yeah, it was
But
probably a conditioning thing between first and second place. Yeah,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
do know,
Agree.
I guess the more seasoned you are and also the more senior, older you are, sometimes like, the skin can be a little bit thinner for some
Mhm.
girls, especially. And actually, I think that is actually possibly why, perhaps, I mean, I could be wrong, but that's why maybe Lena looked a little bit harder at the lower body, because Tyler did mention in Pittsburgh she was a little bit flat, which that was obvious to all of us. And then because when she came into Pittsburgh, the pop and the separation of the muscles were better, and her upper body looked um a lot more volumized to match the
Mhm.
lower half. But I do suppose that maybe because she didn't want to come in too hard in Pittsburgh as well. That's why they didn't want to feed her too much as well to come in fuller. Because some people when they fill up, it's really going to get the muscles to look a lot more striated, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like Lena's probably one. Like I've seen her pictures, just like, or not pictures, but like video, just posing after training, and it looks like she can fill out. So
Yeah.
she's like really big. So they're probably trying to like play to the lineup and make sure she's not like way too huge. Especially standing next to someone like Natalia.
It's smart though.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And
I was looking at
then
all her glutes too.
so I'm not. Is it? Do you know if it's Lauren or Lorraine or Laureen? Anyway, this was her pro debut. I thought this was a beautiful debut.
Should have wrote that name down.
I have her video linked here. Oh, no, maybe I don't. Sorry.
Lorraine.
Lorraine Train.
Yeah, Lorraine.
Yeah. It's either that or Lorraine. One of the two.
Sorry, Lorraine. But I thought this was
Two
a
S's.
beautiful package too. And from the back,
I know I'm just
Spree has a really pretty shape too. I couldn't
Yeah,
get a good
I like the
shot.
shape.
Yeah, I do have her video.
That'll be good. Check that one out.
I will say I'm so picky on like the cut of the bottoms for these two divisions too. And I can't help but notice it. I favor the girls who have like that skinnier, because all these girls have amazing glutes at this level anyways.
Mhm.
I just think it looks it's more flattering.
Oh, from the back, you like the
Mhm.
skinnier, like
I
yeah.
do. And like I know maybe in some other levels, maybe that wouldn't be the most flattering, but I think all these girls at this glute level and
I
hamstring
agree.
just looks, it's almost more distracting to have more fabric back there because you can
I
see how
agree.
like it'll bunch up.
Yeah.
And I
I
just think
agree.
it just sit.
Yep.
And hers is kind of a good one too, where I'm like, it's almost a little too much bottom, but maybe I'm just
Just
like,
a touch. Just a touch.
I'll say just a little bit. Like I like when I can see the lower back a little more.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say she could
I don't
actually
know.
come in a bit sharper
Mm-hmm.
compared to like Melissa in fifth and the other girl in fourth.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, the lines
I'm not-
could be a little bit deeper.
I think she's one who's gonna just like keep getting better as the season
Yeah.
goes on, because on
I think so
already
too.
between, I think she did Pittsburgh or New York, I'm not sure which one, but I know there was a pretty good improvement to Optimum. All right, so women's physique.
Sure, moving right along.
Oh, I just wanted to. There's our girl Michelle. I thought she looked beautiful. This was her pro debut.
I spoke to Michelle briefly, like just checking with her how she was feeling. Also, it was like a whole different experience. But yeah, she mentioned like it was just like her lower posterior that just needed to come in a little bit harder
Mhm.
and sharper. Yeah, she mentioned it was a little bit softer, but nothing that time can't fix when it
And
comes to being a
yeah,
lot more in shape.
yeah, and I think she's hopefully going to do another show or two, and I think she's another one who's just going to keep getting
Yeah.
better and better. hopefully she got the nerves of the first one off. But I thought, I mean, for a pro debut, like I just love her shape. I love her lats. Her back is incredible.
Yeah.
And she has such good width. I hope she has a few more, at least one more.
Like what I feel like it's nothing too like there's no muscle group on Michelle that's too in your face.
Exactly.
She has no if it makes sense, it's like she doesn't have a weak point, which is kind of like it's good because I think I heard Tyler mention before that we don't want too much of a wow factor at a specific muscle
I
group.
agree.
Yeah.
She's very balanced.
I thought she had a really pretty physique too, but razor sharp quads. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I like the back.
Yeah.
I would say I love this one.
Yeah.
I love this one. Same thing. I think she's very balanced. She has, just because we're talking about glutes today, like a relatively short glute insertions.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense on her though.
Yeah. Glute insertions, this is part of like what made me want to talk about glutes is like it's so fascinating to me how like we can all just be humans and we can all have such drastically different like insertions and muscle bellies. It's just a random
I was gonna
thought.
say, in like a weirdest way too, I kind of always assume like I know what they're gonna look like from the back when I see them from the front. And sometimes they surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like not a bad or good way. It's just like, oh, like I thought maybe that girl's gonna have longer glute insertions and she doesn't. She has very short ones.
Yeah. Do you think when they're shorter insertions, it's harder to kind of get that like crisp, squared off look?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's a good and a bad thing. I think with shorter insertions, sometimes the muscle can look rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, like, honestly, nothing that the posing can't fix. I know I need to fix a lot with my back shot just to push that glute out a little bit more. But with people with the longer glute insertions, I have friends with like super long glute insertions, which it would be hard. It's actually harder for quite a number of them to fill up the upper shelf. Is what I realized. But when they get the glute maxed out, it will look huge because more surface space. And I guess it also depends on the ratio of that to maybe like the person's femur. Yeah.
Just like overall leg length too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That
here's
definitely that's fascinating though.
yeah, I know.
No, I've been looking at this a lot. I'm glad we're talking about it just by itself.
Yeah, I think it's because like I have pretty long insertions, but I see what you mean, Tanya, about how being harder to fill out the top because like when you look at me straight on from the back, it looks like I have pretty decent glutes. I can kind of get that nice diamond shape and see like my sweep from behind. But from the side, it's like they're not nice and round. Anyway,
that middle to lower range that looks fuller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
No, I agree. That's a very good point.
Rachel here though has fantastic glutes. Like every back shot that she turns to, that glute is like wow.
She has no weak points, especially in this lineup. I think it makes sense that she won this one for me.
Yeah. Yep. Beautiful look.
Obviously, she never comes in worse. I think she always comes in at least on par with what she previously bought, if not always a little better.
Then we have Anna in second. Sorry, Anna, we still aren't quite sure.
God, we really wish she get that one right.
Well, I know. I was like, oops.
That's on me. I need to start listening to videos of her speaking and pronouncing her name.
I think she has a beautiful presentation too.
I do too. I think she came in perhaps a little fuller this week to maybe look a little less edge dry, but it's interesting because she is the next to Rachel this week. So I don't know if that was a strategic thing or if it just happened to be that way. Because I would have thought coming in with Rachel to just kind of stick with the same conditioning she's previously brought, to be fair.
I think Rachel just has like another level of sharp kind of conditioning, which I think she was perfect as well.
Do you think, and this is me just like nitpicking, but when she turns around, do you think she could use just like a touch more like density through her erectors?
Let me watch it one more time.
Yeah.
Let me watch it one more time. We're getting there. I did make some mentions too, like maybe a little lower back
Okay, maybe that's what I'm seeing.
for her too. So I was like, let me watch.
Yeah. Just like a touch through there. Or is that,
Yeah,
I think just in general, more back.
yeah.
Yeah.
she has good like taper. It's just more detail, I think, is what she's lacking. But I still would like a personally a little more lower lat. I like a very dramatic
Mm-hmm.
X frame. I'm always kind of comparing it to Natalia. I'm considering her and then
Yeah.
Sarah to be the standard. So I'm always kind of shifting my needs for these girls based on that, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and that's I think
Oh,
how it's supposed to be. Just like for figure, Sid should still be the standard. You know, how close are you to
until we have somebody else this year, then we can kind of look at her. But for now, it's still Sid. I love this week for Paula.
Yeah, so
I love this one.
her and Tyler mentioned this in his recap too. He didn't like her suit, which you mentioned last week, and I think
I feel
this
very
one,
validated.
yeah, I know. He also mentioned that she grew her legs too much.
It's,
She
I don't know what to
looks,
say when the judge tells you you're suffering from success.
I mean, it's truth though. I mean, I take a little peek at her Instagram. You can even see it in the corner down there. Her legs are insane.
I know. I know.
Ironically, I do think this week, for some reason, I don't know if it's just the photography this week versus like these higher, not saturation, higher like contrast photos. She looks a little more balanced this week. And I don't know if it's just the coloring versus the suit to me this week.
No, I agree, and
And I don't know if I'm crazy.
Well,
I
Does
it's
she
also
look a little more balanced this week?
I honestly thought the same thing. And again, I don't know if it's like the suit cut or what it is, but I just felt like
The
her
suit fits
overall
better though.
presentation.
her suit definitely fit better because the last round I think she was wearing the hips a little bit lower
Mhm.
and not like higher
Sit
up. So
higher
it
on the
just
hip.
super better. And I guess like with the tan and the contrast with the suit, it definitely helps a lot with the look.
And I kind of like, this is very weird to nitpicky with the suit, for girls who are really lat dominant, because I do the same thing with my suit, where I push the cups in closer to the center if you don't have big fake implants. And I think
Mhm.
she does have implants, but hers aren't like very large. But you can scoot those cups to the center like that, and it kind of provides a little more balance top to bottom because it's not pushing that suit cup to cover any of the lat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't know if
Actually,
that
what
makes any sort of sense, but
what you mentioned, Haley, it does make sense because when I started out, the first time I ordered like a practice suit, I had like friends who feedback and said like the cup size was a little bit big, so it was like hiding a little bit more lat. So I think this is something that everyone can take note of.
yeah, and it works very well for her. Some girls it wouldn't work for.
Yeah.
I've seen some amateur girls that they just have an ill-fitting suit and it's just too big and it takes up too much chest and then also too much lat and it's just not very flattering and it makes them look smaller than what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've even just like, because on a practice suit, those cups slide. I've
Yeah, they
even like,
do.
I make sure I have to check myself in the mirror first that they're like together because sometimes I'll just take a quick check-in picture and be like, oh, I'm hiding my lat, and it
Mhm.
does drastically change the look.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh my God, I lost my lats in a week. What happened?
Yeah, sometimes it's iffy if it's a side boob or a serratus that I'm seeing once you're getting.
Oh, I
But
didn't
either
know
way,
those.
now sometimes you don't know, but when you're lean like that, it don't matter. Like it kind of
Yeah.
looks the same.
Yeah.
It kind of looks the same, but it looks really good on Paula.
Hmm.
I agree.
Maybe that's why she looks a little more balanced. Like, see those cups, the black ones look larger to me.
And I think she's posing better as well. This show
She's a little more relaxed, sitting in it a little more.
with that front lat spread, she's
Or at
posing
least,
better.
I don't know, she's just hitting like a more of a model pose or relaxed in these ones. But
It just feels more feminine.
Yeah.
yeah, and I really can't describe why.
Yeah, which is
Maybe she
interesting.
didn't.
She actually has her feet further apart, but maybe she's not turning her knee out quite as much to create as much sweep. I don't know. It just feels more balanced. I see what you're saying.
Like
I
the
really
hands are a
can't
little bit
explain
lower.
it. I'm looking at her, I'm like, why?
Because I think she just looks less stiff as well.
Yeah, a little more fluid. Do you think I hesitate to say that her shoulders and arms look a little different. Like maybe she didn't pump them up
Yeah.
as much backstage or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
I
can
don't
see it.
know. Maybe it's just the photography because one's pretty high contrast, one's kind of not as much.
I was going to say
Newer
that's
print.
kind of throwing me too because like even her glutes don't seem to be like, you know, at New York Pro it's like my eye just goes straight to her glutes, whereas at Optimum, again, it could just be the busier background is distracting me.
Yeah, it's
But everything seems more balanced from the back too.
yeah. Bring back the black backgrounds every show.
I know.
It would be interesting to be able to talk to her one day though, just to like hear from her like what was different from show to show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's an interesting one for me. I quite like watching her from these shows and that she's doing so many.
Hmm.
How tall is Paula? You guys know?
I think she's a tall girl. I think
I think
she's
she's a tall
Well,
girl too.
I think that's why, like, with especially with her growth, maybe like, to her it's not that much, but like compared to the rest who are shorter, when you're tall and you fill up, you
Yeah, I
really
don't
look.
think she's like, you know, Jack and the Beanstalk tall, but I think she's probably closer to like 5'8", 5'9".
I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if she was my
Yeah.
height. I don't
So
know.
yeah, I don't think she's like humongo. Like I don't think she's 6 foot tall, but she's definitely not like 5'4" and
No,
Yeah.
lower, you know?
because I mean she's like always the tallest
Yeah.
girl in any lineup.
Especially compared to Rachel, you should be able to tell.
Yeah, I know, right? She's got like at least 4 inches on her, right?
Yeah, like they're both in the middle right there. Yeah. Her elbow's gonna hit her in the forehead
And
in
we
the
have
front double.
Marika, which I think this is a
She's a good one to kind of talk about too. She did Optimum back in, I put down 23.
She's the
Yes,
one
23.
that's like the low with the higher glute insertions that actually seem to work because she's got small hips, so she doesn't actually need like I mean, we all need dense glutes, but she doesn't really need them super big for them to actually look the part. I actually do like her shape from
Me too.
especially from the back.
Me too. I think the only thing that was more something I wanted to see was a little more shoulder in her front
Yeah,
relax.
I
Mhm.
agree.
But like her arms look good from the back, and every shot that her side chest is beautiful. She brought her
It's a
legs up
good
a
vacuum.
lot in the past couple of years to really add balance to her look.
Is it a vacuum that she's doing or no?
A little bit, a slight
Okay.
one. It's kind of a weird
Um,
thing in women's physique.
yeah.
Like they do a little vacuum because I do it too, but like not a lot. Like it's such a weird thing because I feel like these girls have such muscled out torsos, anyways, that a vacuum you can still see the abs in pretty well, anyways. Natalia does it a little bit too.
Okay.
I think it looks pretty
Yeah.
because you're gonna hit an ab and thigh anyways. I don't think you need to really crunch down in a front. I don't like seeing a crunch down in a front relaxed for women's physique. Women's bodybuilding, absolutely.
Okay.
I like there to be a few differences, and I think that's a good one when it comes to posing. A good difference between the two.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Looks more feminine. I hate using that sometimes, but it does.
Well, I mean, we are supposed to
I
dilute
know.
it.
I hate saying that crap. It doesn't look feminine. They're all beautiful. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Then Gemma in fifth.
Gemma's kind of an interesting one too. What did I have down here? I think I did the shoulder for her in the front double is where I noticed it here too. Her biceps are pretty much the same size as her shoulder. I like
Yeah.
to see the shoulder
See the
just a wee
bicep.
bit more. I think overall she's really thick from the back, but not a lot of detail.
Okay.
So I think for me, same thing. I kind of would just like a little more back which feels crazy with these girls who are super dense already.
I think she can
I,
use a little bit of a better quad sweep, just at the higher, at the upper and the mid quad, so that it shows itself a little bit better from the back.
yeah. And she does have kind of a thicker waist in a way, but I think she could definitely hide it by just getting a little more like hamstring and overall leg
And
development
shoulders.
Yeah.
and more
Shoulders.
dramatic
Yeah.
sweep. I think would help a lot. I think she has, I don't know her age either, but like probably a slight umbilical hernia
Yeah.
of some sort. And it's just, something you're just drawn to eye wise. So, and there may be nothing she can do about that. It's just something to point out where it's like, oh, yeah, this is why that looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think it's a problem.
But when you got biceps this good like that, I think sometimes you need to really have the front delts and the triceps to match up in the sides
It's the front delt.
yeah, because the triceps can also look a little bit thin in that side shot.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, that's the only part that goes, I immediately go to that. Her arms in that front double, where I just would like to see it. That and like the fact that she is sitting all her weight kind of on that front leg right there. I kind of
Oh,
like a
and
more middle.
this is a very interesting thing. Sorry to cut you off, Haley.
There you go.
Um,
Good.
no, so we were talking about insertions earlier just now, right, with the glutes,
hmm
and I actually noticed this trend. I don't know if you girls noticed it as well. So she has very peaky biceps. From the front, it's very, very round. She's got that short bicep insertion. And
hmm
then when you have peaky biceps like that, that back double is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What I notice is that when people have shorter bicep insertions, they have short tricep insertions as well. So when you hit that side tricep, it can look like there's a gap. So that means all the more you actually need to
Yes,
fill
I'm
that
glad
up.
you brought this up.
But because I noticed this. So let's say this talk about like even for figure and women's physique. For figure, we don't need to flex anything. But generally, if you have that longer arm insertions, whether it's the biceps or the triceps, it could be a double-edged sword. Because if your biceps are long and it's thick, it can make the front delt look very thin. But when you have long triceps and you fill that out a little bit, especially with the side and maybe the long at the back, when you hit model shots, it's like
I think I have short insertions. I think I have shorter because that is why I was trying to figure out exactly how I want to word why her side tri looks like that. And her side chest shots, like everything's just pushed up and it's all kind of congested up towards the top of her arm. There's
yeah.
not a huge difference between like Rachel, where you have like a nice shoulder cap. And I don't know if like maybe a more rear delt would fix that and make it look a little more 3D from the side like that. It's like she obviously has great arms. So then when she hits a side chest, you're like, it's a little more of like, why does her tricep look like that? But that's a wonderful way of describing why
Yeah.
that looks like that.
She's one person though that very seldom you see people with like front and back shots that look better than their side shots.
Okay.
I might be guilty. I think I have insertions pretty similar to that. So I get it. I do.
I wish I had short insertions.
It's not a
Not
bad
all
thing.
those- I got short ones where it don't count, and then long ones where you're like, nah, it's okay.
Yeah, this girl has some arms.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think it's such a pretty shape. She has beautiful shape,
Oh.
beautiful physique.
No, this one's cute. I like this one.
What's her
Oh,
name?
look at that tricep and the
Destiny?
bicep.
Daphne.
Oh, what a sweet name. Daphne. That's so cute. Okay.
You see, she's
That's not what this
blessed
is about.
with
I was
she's so
gonna say-
blessed with, like short biceps and long triceps. That's actually the textbook
Oh,
lottery that
Okay.
everybody wants.
I see it
You
now.
got big arms.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it
I
makes
wish I
the
could
bicep
do
is sweepy when it's long, and the bicep is peaky when it's short.
Let me pull up her
I
video.
like her side chest though. I usually don't like it hit front on like that, but I like it on her. There we go. Good video.
Yeah.
And she's got a good shape too. I just feel maybe she could get a little bit like deeper abs at the midsection.
Uh-huh. But she overall has like a really tiny little midsection,
Yeah.
which is great. I think it looks really pretty. Obviously more back, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a touch of everything, I think,
Yeah.
all around. But I think it's a beautiful, beautiful physique.
Is she a newbie? Is she
I don't think so. Let's see.
not newbie, like I guess rookie season would be a better way of
Oh yeah, yeah.
putting
No,
that.
that's what it is. I don't think so. Let's see what she says.
That's such a cute shot on her though. She has a great little smile. She just looks cute.
I know, you just want to go be her
I have
friend.
no idea how old
She
she
just looks,
is.
you look at some people and it just seems like they just radiate like good vibes, Like
Exactly.
that's the
She's a
type of
cutie
person.
patootie.
Oh no, she ain't got too much pin, so Tampa Pro.
Oh.
Oh, she did wellness
So
at
it's like, oh,
Tampa Pro in 2022. That's interesting.
interesting.
I wouldn't have guessed that. I would
Me
not have guessed
neither.
that. But I'm
She's
glad she
such a dense girl up top, though.
yeah.
Like she's just so dense.
And even in her glutes, like look at all the density there.
I mean,
So
theoretically, she wasn't really training arms as much in that wellness, and that's where I'm looking at the entire time
yeah.
is how big her arms look. Maybe that's why she switched.
Yeah.
It looks more natural for her to do women's physique, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, but she is a little bit of like a narrower individual, so like that I can see like she really placed a lot more of an emphasis with that the last year.
And this was last year's Tampa Pro, so she put on a lot of size, I think, just between then and
1 year in
the
a
other
year.
week. So I feel like she filled out her lats quite a bit.
Yeah,
That's why I
well,
said she did a really good job with that,
Yeah.
especially in front. It helps.
that is great. I love that.
I think that's about it. I did just want to touch on our friend Marissa here, who's
Oh yeah, my girls.
yeah, who's looking insane coming up.
Is she a
so
teammate?
excited.
She's gonna compete the NPC.
No, but it feels like it.
What was that?
She has to choose a teammate. She kind of is Cameron, or no,
Oh,
am I
she's
thinking
Cameron.
Sydney? No, it
Yeah,
is Cameron.
Cameron's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cameron Cheek is the coach for both of these girls, for Sydney and Maria.
Yeah. So she'll do her qualifier this weekend, the Sid Gillen show.
It's gonna be so
It's gonna
exciting.
be good.
Feel that she's got a crazy back on her. So
Oh, look at the front leg.
sending her all the good vibes for this weekend, and then to get her pro card.
No, we're excited.
I know.
I have a big old fat head at home.
Like, look at
I'm
these
cheering.
lats.
Beautiful shade.
Yeah. So excited
Like,
to
I
see
love
her.
a good amateur. I do.
For amateurs, this is a really good standard.
And then
Really good standard.
Sid Horn, I don't really know her, but I mean, look at her. Looks
I be saying
incredible.
cute things. I be saying cute things to her back and
Yeah.
forth. Makes me happy.
This was 3 weeks ago. The story, she shared a story the other day where she was like really coming in. Let's see if it's still here. No, but just follow her. Take our word for it. She looks killer. I have no idea what her show plans are. So
That upper body looks
Amazing.
strong. Like the
Yeah.
delts and shoulders help to make the upper body so developed.
mm-hmm.
She has great shoulders.
And she's tall too. I think she's taller than me. So to like have these legs, like, man.
So I'm saying she's a big girl, and she actually reminded me a lot of you too, because she has some of those shots in the posing room
Oh
from
God,
like the
I
backside
dream
where
of
she's
looking
kind of.
like this.
And I was like, those are shots like Jess took, and obviously we see what happened to you last year. So
Oh yeah,
I'm excited about Sydney.
No
She looks so good.
no question. So
Well, all the best to the competitors competing this weekend. It's going to be a
I
hell
don't
of a
think-
highlight to see.
yeah, I don't think she's competing this weekend.
Okay.
I mean, she might be. I have no idea, honestly. But coming up
I feel
soon.
like she's got a few weeks left in her. We're
Yeah,
definitely single digits.
we've
Yeah.
we've got our eye on you, Sid.
We're excited.
So
Give us some updates.
yeah.
Tell us what
Yeah.
show you're doing.
I think that about wraps it up. Did you want me to bring anybody else up or?
No, those are my babies.
Not at the
Scroll
moment.
through
I
my
don't think
Instagram
so.
and be like, hey, she looks incredible too.
I know. No, those are my
That'll
two ones.
be
Those are my
fun.
big ones.
Yeah, that can be a whole podcast. We just scroll through our Instagrams and be like, oh, look at
Yeah,
this girl.
this is, I love her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. You know,
That
also, I
would be
like
kind of fun. I know. I feel like there's a lot of ladies who are.
he's legally publicly stalking people on a
Yeah, I
podcast.
know.
It
You know what?
works.
They put the content out there.
Hey,
And
if we're saying nice things, like
it's
not
always
like
nice things. And it's
yeah,
a public page.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I'm
what we
sorry.
do. That's what we do in our spare time anyway. So,
I wake up in the morning, get my coffee, go take a bathroom break. I'm looking at your stuff.
exactly.
It's my morning paper.
No, I love that. When you said that, I was like, oh my God, that is what we do.
I do. I sit there and I'm like, what are all the girls doing?
Like I said, my Instagram is mainly just bodybuilding cats.
Oh, that's all mine is bodybuilding. There's no food. I think there's a couple animals in there, some funny videos. It's
Yeah.
all women. It's all women with muscle.
Yeah, yeah. You
It's
know
all
what?
explore pages.
You know what kind of bums me out though is like I want to find more girls like just getting well, not necessarily just getting started, but maybe just getting started in the pro leagues or like just going for their pro card. And I feel like every time when I go to my recommended page or whatever, it's always people that like already have like 50,000 followers. And it's like, I want to see more people
No,
that
where's people like me?
I know. I don't mean it like, you know, in a egotistical way, but yes.
No,
Yes.
but I want to see some of the maybe girls who are getting less hype because there's a
Yeah.
lot of good ones in these more muscular divisions too. I've seen girls who go to the O that still only have like 2,000 followers.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if y'all are out there, follow us and tell us to follow you.
Oh yeah, or you can always
Send
just
me your
send us
profile.
your links. And
Yeah.
we'll be happy to give you our insight.
So
Just send me some stuff. I just want to just take a little peek.
yeah. So I think I thought I was recording when I said this. I don't think I ended up saying this, but since I'm definitely recording now, let's talk about how we're going to try to do these recaps and we'll kind of hopefully get a little more efficient as the shows go by and just kind of doing like a quick recap of each show and then kind of just touch on something that I don't know, like questions people have if anyone wants to send us some questions, but just like short, concise, like topics, not necessarily like a broad range. And today we thought we would just kind of each go over glute training. Not that we're like wellness extraordinaires, but I feel like the criteria, like even for figure, like glutes are becoming more and more important. And I know like for me, I kind of went a long time just thinking like, oh, I don't really need to train glutes. I can just throw hip thrusts at the end of like a leg day or whatever. And I have definitely like changed my tune on that a lot. I'm training glutes quite a bit more, honestly. And I know like for figure, they don't necessarily want hard striated glutes, but I still think you want to see a nice like squared off glute like division from the glute to the quad to the ham.
It's a very interesting muscle group because I don't know if you've noticed this, but you can get away with, you know, like not as developed shoulders, or maybe the back isn't as developed yet in these shows, but you will not see a winner or a top call out with lagging glutes. It's just somehow like a non-negotiable, like the women's categories.
Even though it's not wellness.
Yeah. And you even look at people like Meg Sylvester. Does she go by Meg Sylvester or Meg Chellen? Meg.
They're married.
Meg. I know.
They're married.
Even Meg,
Sylvester.
it's kind of like she's had to change her training tremendously to more bias glutes because like everything is kind of there. She just needs to bring those glutes in more. So I know like last year, I'm the type I don't like training glutes. Like I don't.
Really?
I finally like come around to it. I think because like I'm able to like realize like the more work I put into glutes, like my overall leg is going to look better. So that's kind of how I like get myself to enjoy it. But for a while, like I wasn't approaching my glute sets with the same like amount of uh, tenacity, let's say.
Yeah, I
As
think this is not a favorite, and it's not that you don't put in effort into the training, but it's just because like it's just it's natural in a way that if it's something is not your favorite, then it's
yeah,
not as
that and it's like you do some glutes at the end of a leg day and I'm already exhausted. So I kind of started separating like my glutes. Like last year I would do a delt and glute day. And
I
so
like
then
that.
yeah, so then I would be doing glutes first. And I don't like delt days either. So it actually kind of gave me something to it gave me something to like look forward to and like actually like really go at and try to like progress. So that helped a lot. And then this year I'm doing like sure I'll still do like some glute movements on our more ham focused day, but our 2 different pull days, I'll also hit glutes on those days too. And that's really I think kind of helped me place the emphasis back on there because like my legs, I'm always going to have to like kill myself training legs just because like I'm taller and there's so much area to fill up.
I got a lot of leg too.
Yeah. So doing
It's
it
not fun.
Yeah, doing it, like, all in the same day was just, like I didn't have
It
enough gas in the tank, you know?
it
What's your
is.
training split like, Jess? Like, I mean, I guess the both of you
That's what I was
could
gonna.
share. Yeah. How do
So
you
I
how do you
do
organize it for yourself?
so I have 2 different variations of each day, but basically it's just a push, pull in legs, rest, legs, rest, and then repeat. So one of the pull in leg days, I'll do more glute emphasis, and the other I'll do a little more quad emphasis. And then the 2 different leg days, one is more ham glute focused, and the other is quad focused.
Okay,
It's
so it's
actually very
quite like a
similar.
frequency based kind of setup.
Yeah, it's pretty high frequency, but I've been really enjoying it.
I do. I think going into last season, I did. Well, I have the 2 variations of every day too, but I did more like my legs, my quad day and ham day were different. I did a
Yeah.
little bit of glute on both days, and now it's push pull legs, 2 variations of all that, and then I still do like glute work on the pull days. So my
Mhm.
deadlifts are my pull days.
Okay, so we do
Okay.
something kind of similar.
Yeah, I was gonna say we basically do the same thing,
Yeah.
but it actually has made a huge difference. I was worried about going down on the frequency of like the leg days because I do like 2 on, 1 off with that
Yeah.
plan in mind. Sometimes now with recovery, it's almost been like 1 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off
Yeah.
because it just
Oh,
becomes
that's
a lot of.
interesting.
I know, but it's been working very well. So I feel like I'm hitting legs really, if you think about it, maybe once every 7 days,
Same.
Yeah.
which is insane and actually bothers me. So I try not to think about it.
Mhm.
But
I
I'm still doing more glute work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have like 3 leg or glute movements before that pull day. So it's like it honestly feels like by the time we start back, I usually feel like I had a whole training session in, you know what I
Me
mean?
too. Like my
But
glutes and legs are sore after
yeah,
that.
but I love it and it does feel effective.
What
Does it
glutes
I,
affect
do you
any back
do?
training?
sorry.
Does it affect you for any back training? Like you girls, any back training? Let's say you have like any bent over. Do you do bent over rows? I don't know if it affects people
I
with bent.
don't do that over rows.
Okay.
So yeah, it really doesn't affect my back training. Like I still feel fresh enough to go into that. I do think if I were to do like a bent over, I would have to be just honestly just careful about like which leg movements I was doing because I would still want to prioritize back, but I'm not a big bent over row person for some
Okay.
reason.
I say I do 2 variations of the pull days. So
Mhm.
I do have more of like one day where I do like the bent over row type stuff, but it's separate than the days that I do the RDLs.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
But I'm
How
always
do
looking
you
to one.
how do you program your days, Tanya?
Okay. So I have like a 3 on 1 off, 3 on 1 off kind of schedule. And I think it's just I guess my Justin style of like the programming. I think I've shared with Jess before, and I think maybe like Hunter might have like shared it like on one of the pods. Like our Justin's style is just like the high volume kind of training. So I would just like modify, especially with like leg training just for a little bit. But most days are like I have one leg day that's full legs, and then the second one is just mostly glutes and hamstrings. But the first leg day, even if it's full leg day, honestly, I just do like a like if it's we are talking about just for quads, right? Then it would just be like with a leg extension once every 2 weeks because I really can't afford to let that thing grow any further.
Yeah.
And
I
with
want that
the
problem.
I know. I can't even imagine that.
I want that problem.
What's that like?
but I would
Podcast
still get
favorites.
some kind of like quad work, and you will still text maybe like the upper quad and the mid quad because okay, so my first leg day that would be like a squat. I would like have a Smith machine squat, but I would have I mean because it's just set up basically for my hips, and because my trainer Calvin helps to look at my analyze my mechanics, and then we will go from there with like the setup and stuff like that. So I would do like a Smith squat, but only after I do dead stop deadlifts. So just to get my glutes to be able to lengthen properly first, and even just single leg, dumbbell RDLs just to balance out the hips, and then I squat. With like I had to go straight up, starting with just maybe like a 20-pound plate per side, just for that squat, and just to really align things nicely, and just really only stretch the glutes at the bottom. So I don't go anything below 90 degrees because with just that knee flexion, it's just going to shift it all the way to the quads.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized that I was just so quad dominant as well because that's why he had me training calves before I hit any leg days, just so that I can get the foot pressure and just get my feet to be able to bend back better and just apply that foot pressure for that glute. Because like if you put more focus on that front part of the feet, then you would definitely get more quad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had that as so anything maybe with a bit of quad involvement for the glutes. Any squat pattern would be like a squat on the first one, and then the second one we would do like a single leg press.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
but
you
also
Big
I
fan.
had the range.
Big fan of single leg stuff or
Yeah.
unilateral movements.
You said something about range of motion, and one thing that I wanted to say regarding that is, correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone's welcome to debate me. I'm just sharing opinions.
Lots.
That's fine.
I feel this way about a couple muscle groups, but I feel like the active range of motion for the glute is actually a lot shorter than people
It is.
realize. And I kind of feel that way about like lats and rear delts too. I think like these extreme ranges of motion are trending, for lack of a better word. And I think people that are like just getting into the sport maybe don't even realize like going through these extreme ranges of motion, like they don't even know how to feel their glute. They're just like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And they don't realize that they're going like they're taking the tension off of their glute and I don't know, maybe training their lower back, their hamstring, their quad, whatever. So when I do like a hip thrust, it's not like a dramatic movement. It's actually very short, for lack of a better word. And I do think one thing that a lot of people would benefit from is if you're having a hard time like actually feeling that muscle, is just slow everything the fuck down. Like at the bottom of
Oh God.
at the bottom, get like a brief, doesn't necessarily even need to be like a dead stop, exaggerated, but just hesitate ever so slightly so you have like a second to think about firing that glute and before you drive back up.
A lot of time under tension stuff for glutes, I think, is great.
Yeah. I think a lot of people also need to know that just sometimes feeling the muscle, it takes time.
Yeah.
So don't be impatient with it because the whole of this year I was sharing with Jess, I had, and I'm gonna like share with you as well, like right now, like Haley, I had to spend like the half, like a quarter of this year literally trying to feel less squat. I might not have felt my glutes at that squat or the dead stop RDL. Came out, I was like deadlifting 80 pounds at the start. and I just did not enjoy my session. I was like, oh my god, Calvin, this is like it's like I
It's
feel
frustrating.
it is because but he said but you deadlift so heavy, it's like you keep pulling with your legs and you keep squatting your way up when you're pulling that stuff. Like he said, like if that how you train worked in the past, why do you not have glutes? So yeah. So I spent the whole half a year doing all that mechanic stuff before I even got to like this point, and it's still on the climb. But people need to realize that it's fine to dial back because it is better than if you're feeling just 30% more glute at a lighter weight, it's better going and hunt like a lot heavier and getting 0%. Because if you can still do that little extra like 20% and it's lighter weight, it's still progressive overload compared to whatever you were doing back then. It will still grow.
100%.
Yeah.
I'll say, have you guys tried the it's a step up variation, but I don't know what the actual name is it. But they kind of step up at like an incline or a slope, but they like have their glutes positioned back, and so they're stepping back at like an angle a bit. You see a lot of the wellness, excuse me, a lot of the wellness girls do it. I tried to learn those. I got so frustrated. Like it works really well for people who have short limbs. So girls who are like Insta and stuff like that. Same with the like sumo deadlift variations don't work well for me. I can't feel glute. It's too, I can't get the right hip hinge because of the way my body mechanics are. And so then men like Justin, literally any of the Justins that have like those shorter legs and they're just like portioned half and half, those movements work so well for them and they can progressive overload those and feel them. I about threw a dumbbell because I couldn't figure out how to feel my glute in them. I always felt quad.
You know what's like another thing that's fascinating to me is like there's three of us sitting here and all three of us are like totally different because I have a hard time connecting with my quad. Like I have to really like slow things down and like intentionally try to target my quad or else like like if I go ass to grass on a hack squat, even a leg press, like Smith or a belt squat, like has always been glutes. I can feel my glutes like all day long. Like it's very easy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very easy for me to connect with my glutes. My quads are a totally different story. That'll be for a later
You need
discussion.
both. You need both.
And you, Tanya, so I'm interested. So out here, like especially at the gyms I go to, we have so much variety. Like they are like pumping out a new glute piece.
Booty builder. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
crazy. And to be honest with you, like I don't even use that many of them. Like
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, no.
and it's not even I don't even know that I would dislike them. I'm sure they're all like great, but to be honest with you, I just like I really believe that like at least at the level when you're like coming up and really trying to grow, I really do think you need like some heavy RDLs done right
Yeah.
and like heavy compounds. And I kind of for my hip thrust, I kind of prefer sticking with like the Smith machine.
What's the
Yeah, I
machine?
was going to ask you, like, because it's very, I mean, we all of us when I started out, I've always been using the Smith machine for the hip thrust before all these fancy different glute drives started coming in. But what makes you continue to use the Smith machine when, let's say, you have access to maybe like a Nautilus or like an Arsenal hip thrust? Because I really like those too.
I like the Nautilus. That's the only one I like.
Is that the one that has either the soft
Yeah,
strap or is it the one with like the hard pad?
it's a soft strap.
Yeah.
Arsenal strap is like a bar, the pad with the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. Yeah,
Those
you
are always
regulate.
hit and miss for me.
I think we have that one. I'm trying to remember the brand of the other one that is okay, but for the most part, like that OG Nautilus is just like money for me. I feel like all these other ones are just maybe because like I did it so long with the Smith machine or just a free weight bar.
Okay.
I'm used to that like path. I don't know.
I'm
But
I'm so used to that straight up and down bar path that if
Yeah.
anything deviates from that for a hip thrust,
It's weird.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
But you know,
It doesn't feel right.
Jess is the first person who tells me that she really likes the Nautilus hip thrust because everyone I've spoken to, even the bikini girls, they either tell me like their back hurts or they'll feel their quads. And I'll be honest, I didn't like it at the start too until I started training with Kelvin, and then he shows me the setup and how to do it right. I'm like, oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And I feel like that was like one of the first ones that came out too.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just started freaking screwing them up.
And dude, now there's a million different booty builders,
Yeah.
and most of them suck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm
It's
just
very
picky. I
interesting.
think bread and butter movements are what you should do. The only
Yeah.
ones I'm kind of iffy on are like the glute kickbacks. Those are new for me this season.
Okay.
Or doing like the glute kickbacks. I feel very passionately about that.
Cable or machine?
We have a machine that I like, but it's a more upright one. It's not the one where you bend over all the way on it. And
Oh, it's not plate loaded, is it?
it's not plate loaded. It's
Oh.
a peg. Like
Okay.
we do have a plate loaded one, but you have to bend all the way like on the ground on your hands and
Oh,
knees.
yeah.
And I was like,
I'm
I don't
thinking-
like that.
There's a I think it's the Booty Builder pendulum kickback. It's plate loaded. I do love that piece.
Is it standing?
You're kind of stood upright. Like there's a place that you kind of like put your non-working leg knee on, but it's kind of like you look like you're doing the running man.
Oh, okay. I think I've tried stuff like that before.
I think that's similar to the one I have then, because it is more like you can angle yourself back and you're just kicking back like that versus
Swinging back, right?
Almost like a straight down move. Not that I'm trying to use myself as an example, but I know I posted it, so I'm going to find
Is this
it.
like a reverse leg press kind of like feeling, or is like that sort of machine, or is it like a swing back, like a cable kickback?
this one I say is actually more close to like a leg press.
Okay.
But I think it's better for like progressive overload, even though technically I would think leg extensions, or not leg extensions, the glute kickbacks, you really don't need a progressive overload weight wise that much. It's really not
Actually,
about
that
that.
stuff, if you're doing it right, it's almost like hard to go heavy.
Exactly. I was like, it's really not about that for that exercise specifically.
This guy.
Yeah, that's almost like what mine
yes.
is.
Yeah, I've tried stuff like this. One's good.
I
I do
prefer
like-
stuff like that.
Yeah, I do like that one.
I wish we had that one. And see that one, I don't know. Do you like to put your middle of your foot like that on the pad? I usually like to put my heel. Or it could be probably on your heel. It just kind of looks like it's more middle foot.
It's kind of like in my arch just because it feels the most stable there, but I'm still able to kind of like drive with my heel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it depends
Yep.
on like how you want it done. Because I think if you were to put it in like the middle of the foot, then you're kind of like getting a lot of like glute ham. Whereas at least for myself, if I have to put the heel there and do it like a regular kickback, then I would get like maybe like a bit more mid upper glute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Draw foot.
Anyway, so that's a fun one.
Well, I have a question though. Because I think we discussed this many times before when people say, you should be picking exercises that you connect with the best, right? But in the same breath, we are also talking about like bread and butter exercises. Like, if you can't even do like, a simple, like maybe like a Smith squat, like a goblet squat, or like, a proper squat for that matter. And then, or like coming to the barbell, deadlifts and RDLs. And when people argue me and say that stuff doesn't grow your glutes, I actually think that because they haven't figured out the mechanics to get there with any prehab or rehab work to get themselves there. So I do agree that people should be picking exercises based on what they connect with the most. But if it comes to like, the basic stuff that you can't get yourself there, I really do encourage. I mean, maybe I don't want to sound like I'm too strong by imposing my opinion, but I really do encourage people to actually like look into their mobility and all that imbalance stuff to actually be able to get themselves to do that stuff, because all these machines can come in, but simple squat, hinge, hip thrust pattern, if you can't do like you are not going to maximize any other machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Like you can find your other fun movements, but we really got to nail a hip thrust, an RDL, like a few of those things first.
Yeah. And this, sorry, Jess, you want to go first?
Oh, no, you go.
Okay, no, because just now I was saying like, I had to spend so much time trying to feel my glutes. And I said like, I'll tell people it really takes time. And it's not fun to do all that prehab and rehab stuff. But actually that stuff is the hardest thing to do, to even get done right, like to nail. Because my impression of like at the beginning when I started doing all these things, especially learning how to deadlift from scratch with that elevated platform, it was because like my core was so weak in a leg raise position because the leg raise like the bench, it challenges you a little bit more when your abs are a lot more stretched out. And I'm so weak in that position because I'm so good here,
Okay.
right? So when Calvin tells me to brace, my brain clicks bracing as this. So when your torso has continuously known to brace only like this, how are you gonna
In like a
deadlift,
crunch
learn how to
position.
come up like that when you're always like this, right? Coming up this way. So you're not gonna get the glute. So I had to learn that from scratch. And then I didn't might not have felt a lot of glute at the start when I started like training again from scratch. But the goal was like over time, he said, okay, at least you're feeling less quad and lower back. So I went from feeling less quad and lower back to not feeling quads and lower back. And even though I still felt no glutes, after a while, the body will kind of like unlock a lot better. And then I started to feel more and more glutes. So sometimes it's about feeling less of something with an exercise, like all the stuff that you're not supposed to be feeling. And then suddenly the body will unlock and you'll start to feel more of something. The main thing.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And
But
I
there
do
was-
and I do think too, like that's a good point. Like when you're patient about like doing your mobility and like engagement exercises, I think then progressively you can introduce like more and more experienced, maybe a little more slightly complex exercises into your arsenal. It's almost like you said, unlearning and kind of like slowly adding them back in. And I think sometimes too, like when you do those mobility exercises, you can kind of figure out like a feeling that you're looking for and then carry that over into the exercise. And almost like the best way I have to explain it is like, when I'm trying to target my quads, like what targets a quad better than a leg extension. So then I carry that like thought of firing the quad for the leg extension into a leg press, into a hack squat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I know I referred it to quads. It's just because that's my problem. But the same thing. Like you can
Concept applies.
Yeah,
you
it's the
can
same
think,
principle.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
think about, like if you're having a hard time feeling your glutes in an RDL, you can probably feel them in a hip thrust. So then you just kind of like envision doing a hip thrust at the top of your RDL,
Yeah, it really, that is how it is, though. A lot of my stuff, I think, too, when I was kind of learning was the core step, back to the core step, was I always heard like keep your core tight. And in my mind, it was like, oh, sucking it in.
Yeah.
You know
That
what I
part.
mean? And especially as like women too, like I don't want to blow my waist out while I'm especially when you're trying to like you're worried about that aspect, which is why, baggy t-shirts is great. Pressurizing and doing that properly is not cute. It doesn't look cute. There's nothing
Yeah.
flattering about that. But in my
Yeah.
mind, when I heard like keep your core tight, because you hear that cue all the time, I was like, oh, okay, like suck in. Like, no, it's like pressurizing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
So actually
especially
it's
for
about
belts
also
too.
finding that sweet spot with the core bracing because I think from what I found I was always just bracing so tight that over time my torso was just so compressed, decompressed.
Exactly.
Actually, when it means like sometimes keeping your core tight, it's actually just as simple as like let's all just train our core in all the different positions
Mhm.
because you can't keep your core crunched when you do like a deadlift or even like a hip thrust. It should not be like a posterior pelvic tilt. It should be like your spine should be in neutral, and then your abs are able to lengthen and actually be able to hold lengthen, not crunch at the
Mhm.
top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
I
So
train that
it's,
actually.
yeah. So it's actually about like having the core being strong in all the positions, and then it would actually naturally hold that position and brace, not rather like you actually crunching or sucking in in a specific position.
Do you have like one of those weighted crunch machines where you like put your arms up on it like this?
Oh, I used to use one of those. My
I
new
trained
I
that.
stayed away from that because I heard like that would really blow up the waist.
You would think, but I do it. Not saying everyone
Okay.
should do this, but I can do it maybe like 35 pounds, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah.
like I stretch out really far, I put my seat really low, so I can stretch my abs out pretty far, and
Okay.
it gets used to like holding weight in that lengthened position.
Okay.
It might be really strange, but I think it's why my abs were kind of the way they were this last season is from doing that.
Okay.
Actually, it helps your posing. It helps your posing a lot because when you can really like get a better, but training abs is the only time that you should be arching your back on the way down. Like
Yeah.
it helps
It's
with
kind
that
of, I guess, the
spine.
same theory as like cable crunches too. If you do those where you
Yeah.
can really stretch out
Yep.
if you want.
Yeah.
But it's like a good thing. And I know people are scared to do it now because there is like it'll make your waist really thick. Possibly for some people, for sure. But like same with RDLs and people, if you do those heavy, your waist is gonna blow out.
Yeah.
It's about like how it's done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say, but maybe for some people, like, but you're not power lifters. We're not doing it to that extent. I don't know. In my main, it makes sense, but like I understand where people are coming from. That it might make your waist thicker, but
Mm.
I think
You
it's
guys
worth it for a thick ham.
keep talking. I've got to go pee. This coffee is.
Gotta go pee. But no, I think
Yes.
those are good points too. Like I just don't. I was hesitant on doing like I think good mornings are kind of one of those ones for me where
Okay.
I just don't get a lot of good payout hamstring wise and glute wise. But I do feel a lot of core work through it. I'm like, maybe should do that. It's
How
not
many times
programmed
a
for me
week?
to do them though.
Okay, how many times a week do you train core? Like, does your Justin program apps for you?
He
Every
does.
couple.
It's
Okay.
more something to do like after fasted cardio, like
Okay. Yeah.
fasted cardio and abs situation. I do it in the mornings, but sometimes I'm not gonna lie, like especially in off season, I do it kind of
Before training.
just like at the end of training too.
Okay. Well, I see for myself, like I would have to do it like before the training. I'm not just because it helps my lifts, but because
It's a good
I'll be
idea.
honest, when I'm done with the workout,
I want to go home.
the tendency to just not want to do it is there.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to do it either. It's usually at that point I'm just kind of coasting. And I'm like, I'll do a couple 3 sets of like weighted abs real quick and then out the door.
Yeah. No, we're not Jess. We were just saying like how many times a week do you train your core or like the abs?
Oh man, I go through phases where I'm like really good about doing it like every session, even if it's just like 3 sets of cable curls, and then there might be a week that goes by that I'm like, oh shit, I haven't done anything for abs. So
Same.
yeah, I need to be better.
That's pretty good, like in season though.
Yeah,
But I
Yeah.
probably more than likely it's probably 3 times a week.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I have like really shallow abs, so I like really need to.
Oh yeah, me too.
Weighted crunches.
Yeah, I do.
So
And lower.
people like that can probably have will work with that weighted crunch stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we go around and each of us just kind of mention the exercises we have been doing for glutes? I feel like we've talked a lot about glutes, but we haven't really said what each of us do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Share with the class.
Yeah. Shit, what the fuck do I do? Some of these are going to be more like not necessarily like I'm doing these just to target glutes. Kind of like I feel like a single leg hip press. I feel it the most in my glutes, but I also get some good quad and ham out of it. But I'm still going to mention those anyway. What the fuck do I do? Does anyone else want to go first?
Well, the ones that I've been focusing a lot on was trying to master a single leg press, and really, like I think you'll see it all the time. It's really that fixed dead stop or like deadlift. I think because I just had to learn how to keep like setting up at the top that if I do like a regular RDL with like no dead stop at the bottom, that there's just I'm not ready for that yet.
You know, I was really glad to see you post those the other day because I have always said that like I feel it might not necessarily be like a classic RDL because in RDL you're supposed to just hover with the weight, right? But I have always preferred just kind of setting blocks, whether that's plates or just like something that's like 4 or 5 inches off the ground and just like getting a solid stop because it gives you time to like re-engage those glutes if they're not doing. And I think a lot of people, we mentioned this in the chat. Sorry, I totally like commandeered the ship, but I think a lot of people when they're doing RDLs, I think, end up like shifting the load into their lower back because they're going down further than they think they need to go down, or they just aren't quite experienced enough to like keep that tension in their glutes the entire time, because like when you're just like hanging there with weight over the course of a set, like it gets heavy, whereas like when you allow that split second to just kind of set the weight down, it keeps it in the glutes in my experience.
So I mean, it just makes it easier for everyone to understand that the whole purpose of the glute is hip flexion, hip extension. You go as far down that your butt can move back. And it should be like, sometimes if you're in a good hinge, sometimes the torso isn't even parallel,
Yep.
but it's already back.
Yep. I think the easiest way that it's ever been explained to me is like, for one thing, video yourself. And once you can't push your hips back anymore, all you're doing is like bending down at the waist, and then it's very hard at that point to pull up just with your glutes and not let your lower back start to take over.
Yeah, and if you can't, and if you end up going all the way down without the butt really moving back, you're just pulling too heavy.
Yeah.
Your glutes can't upload that tension.
Yeah.
Those girls have great erectors, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're growing something.
I had great erectors for the longest time before I even had back.
Oh, yeah.
So
Me too.
I always joke that anything can be a lower back exercise if you do it wrong enough.
it absolutely can be.
That's true though.
Absolutely. And if anything, like too, in the off season, that's where you feel pumps a lot, even when you don't mean to. Like some of those leg days, like that gets more taxed at the end because I either didn't like roll it out good enough, or I didn't get like a massage that week. Like, and you just like are bound so tight that you just can't do some of those range of motions as efficiently as you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Yeah, sorry, Jess. Sorry, no, you go first.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll quit yapping so much. But one other thing, I do this really commonly on the single leg press. And it's kind of along the same lines of what I said earlier about a dead stop. But sometimes, sorry,
I was dead stopping on a single leg press for a long time.
Yeah, and if you want to take that a step further, I think so. I started doing like a 4-second negative, then a 2-second pause in the hole, and then a 4-second concentric. And I feel like slowing it down on the positive of a movement might not necessarily be the best for hypertrophy. I don't care, because if you can't connect with a muscle, if you just like basically think about doing it in slow motion, like you give yourself a 4-second positive, that's a long time for you to like think about keeping that movement where you want to be feeling it.
Mm-hmm. I think for glutes, it's a good one. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah. And it burns. Like it's really hard. I kind of like it.
I'll say I like that aspect of glute training.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it fun to me. Like, sure, pushing a lot of weight, because glutes can move quite a bit of weight.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like the single leg stuff, like I'd rather do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, okay, now do we want to talk about our exercises?
I thought that was one of your
always
exercises.
digress again.
There's single leg press. Who said that one? You both do that one.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then the deadlift.
Yeah, RDL. I've been doing those hip banded.
Yeah, I'm lost the game on that one. Haven't tried it yet.
To be honest with you, I think since I have such a good connection with my glutes, I don't necessarily see it as life-changing for myself personally, but my training partner doesn't engage with his glutes super well, so he's been doing it, so I'm just along for the ride. And I really can see how they'd be beneficial to teach someone how to hinge or how to feel their glutes.
Okay, well, maybe I'll forego them.
Yeah.
I like the way I have mine. I just want to change up, like maybe trying a pit shark variation of it or something. Like the ones you posted, I really like those. I saw that this morning.
So I do the pit shark variation on my quad days. And then I do the hip banded free weight barbell on my ham days. And then I also do the Smith hip thrust on my ham days.
Yeah, that checks out.
And then I'll do on one of my pull days, I'll do a single leg Smith hip thrust.
Okay.
Okay. That's a new one for me.
And I'll do some Bulgarians on one of my pull days.
Like those.
Oh yeah, I always have I started with reverse lunges.
Okay,
And
yeah.
you know, I have like a small little platform and I'll put a wedge, but the other direction. So put my feet like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you
I
you
don't
come
like
down,
it big.
yeah, like that, but you go on a little bit of a hip hinge.
Yeah.
So that I get more glute. And then with a bit of a platform elevation, you can get like a like better depth, a better stretch, better range.
I need to try that. I'd like that.
That's
Yeah,
similar.
it's pretty good.
That's similar to what I do. I actually use like, it's kind of like a super old school, almost like a V squat, but it's kind of a little raised. So then I step back down from there. I really like it because then I don't have to think about balancing. I'm literally just thinking about like my glute.
Okay.
What time is it?
Do you have to go?
Oh, I was looking. So it was for a friend's flight stuff. I am taking her to the airport this morning.
We're gonna wrap up anyway. Tanya's
I was like, I know we're gonna
No,
be
I'm
fine.
good.
Like I'm sure
I'm
we're like
okay.
coming to the
I'm
bit
okay.
of it. This was a last minute thing.
Sorry.
The other flight stuff. I
we'll
was
wrap it
listening.
up.
And I think these stuff is actually pretty interesting because you know it just tells us like actually training it's a skill. Like
Yeah.
people think it's like they always say like, oh, but bodybuilding is not like you know other sports where it's like you know we are not measured based on skill for the competition, but training itself it's a skill. It's an endless skill, and it's kind of almost like an art if it makes sense.
And I think that's what makes it so much fun because it's like, especially like at the phase where I'm at, where it's like, you know, I could kind of get by being a little reckless for a while there, just kind of get strong. And like now I'm at the point where it's like, all right.
I've spent like the longest of time like just avoiding the deadlifts, and then after a while, like I'm looking at everybody and like you don't find somebody who's a really strong puller who doesn't have great glutes.
Exactly.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, like Jess. Jess is an example over here. Like Jess is really strong for pull, and then the other, oh my god, Jasmine. Jasmine is so strong. Holy hell.
And it's just cool. It's fun just from like a fun standpoint. If you enjoy training like that, like getting strong in that movement is just fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I much prefer it over a squat, and that's why I don't power lift.
Oh yeah, I know, right? I always joke that I should power lift, and then it's like my squat is just.
I hate a barbell squat.
Oh god,
I'm not
like really cannot.
I'm not a barbell squat, and I hate when people ask me that. Like,
barbell
what's your squat? I'm like,
I have no idea.
135 for all I know. Like,
that's true. I can confidently say that I can squat at least 135.
At least 135.
Yeah,
it's my body weight for sure. You know. It's just not, it doesn't work well for me. And some people, it probably works super well. It won't be.
And I feel like I never wanted to like say this because it sounded like an excuse. But now I'm at the point where like, I don't care. My femurs are like really long and it just makes it hard. Okay.
Same. It's a country mile and I'm not squatting them.
Yeah.
But actually, that's what makes like, you know, both of you, I mean, it's same for myself. Like my torso is a lot shorter compared to my legs. But that's why, you know, people like, you know, it's harder. It feels extra tiring when we squat because we travel like a longer distance down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But people like Jess, like, it should make pulling even harder as well, but you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So it's like kind of feels just picky choosy here, you know, cherry picky, but I can justify a pull versus just a squat.
Yeah.
I'm getting some back out of it too.
Yeah, that's true because like anytime I've squatted, I've been like, I don't feel my legs working. It just feels hard.
Okay.
My back hurts. Everything hurts. Like
awkward.
Not in a good way.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm doing anything, but somehow
I don't feel like I'm efficiently moving.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for me, it's the single leg press and the deadlift. Like, what about you two girls? Like, anything else that you want to add on?
Yeah, so I do the single leg hip thrust. I do the hip thrust. I do the single leg press. Do the Bulgarians. Do the 2 variations of the RDL. God, I'm realizing.
Oh, you know what we're missing? We're missing walking sideways on the Stairmaster.
You know what else?
I did that before though.
I do walk backwards on the
I
treadmill.
used to do the little kickback too.
And the
Oh,
last
you're
thing,
one of
the last thing
Oh,
that
that
I
was
do,
cute. It was really cute.
the last thing that I do, I don't really like. I think it just kind of helps execute your RDLs and your other movements. I also do a glute ham raise. I don't
Okay.
think I wouldn't classify that as a glute builder so much as like a
Like a bridge, like a
like a
glute ham raise.
yeah.
What the hell is that?
You know what
Glute
it is.
ham raise.
You say it.
I'm
See.
sure I did. I'm just trying to glute ham raise. Not a cast bridge or anything like that. I'm the blonde one in the group. Oh, I've done those.
See, I have issues trying to figure out my setup with that one.
I don't use something just like that. I use like the assisted one that you can load,
Hold on to something.
Me too.
Plates
I use
on.
the assisted one.
and it has the bar that goes that you can kind of like hold on to, so it's counterbalanced. Yeah.
I do too. I use that one.
Okay.
It takes some time. It's definitely like a finisher for me. It's not like a movement I'm really training to progressive overload on.
Yeah, like for me, like it feels good, but same. Like I don't necessarily feel like it's packing on muscle, but I tell myself it's probably like somehow helping, like my deadlift maybe.
I like the stretch on it.
Yeah, just kind of
That's
feels
all
good.
it's for me.
Yeah.
I enjoy the stretch at the
Yeah.
end. That's all I like out of it, though.
Yeah.
Like another variation that I got started, and I have what I wanted to share with you girls. I think I will send you some of my stuff from this week earlier on. Was actually doing a single leg B stands, deadlift variation, but with the trap bar.
Yes, those are good. Oh, with the trap bar, okay.
Bar, yeah, the trap bar.
Those are
Because it-
really good too.
To shift down.
I used to do
I
them with the
probably like that.
landmine. Yeah,
Okay.
I used to do them with the landmine, and it just kind of, I don't know.
Because
just-
pulling up, right?
yeah,
It's to meet the landmine at the top.
yeah, yeah. I really liked those. I'll probably put those back in at some point. Everything feels like it's still moving along pretty good, and I don't normally switch stuff until I get like
Same. It's like I plateau for a bit.
yeah. But that is a really good movement, I think.
I'm gonna take notes on that one. I will.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that one in.
yeah,
I would like that. I know I would. I just never thought about it.
yeah.
Where's my paper?
But anything else?
I'll say I kind of do all those same ones. I really don't do anything like
Yeah,
out of this
I'm
world.
saying, I'm glad that, like, I think that's why people need, sometimes if they need to take an off season, they should take an off season, because you're going to spend quite a lot of time trying to learn a lot of things with the execution in the off season, and that's the best time for
Mhm.
you to do it. Because I'm glad that the three of us are. Right?
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah.
Muscle building takes time.
And I like that we all do like the basics, honestly. Like,
Oh, yeah.
They work.
yeah,
The only fun one that I was like, oh, those don't work. It was like the kickbacks.
yeah,
Like those are silly. I don't need to
Hey.
do those. And I started doing them twice a week.
yeah. I feel like I used to judge, and then like I love that pendulum machine, but I'll probably throw a cable kickback when
No,
I'm
I love a kickback now.
yeah, yeah. They do feel good. They're just easy to make fun of at first, I think.
I think it's been fun to make fun of when it's done in a very funny way and with like the whole stack.
Yeah, yeah.
Cable stack. Have you seen those videos where those girls do it with the whole cable stack and they step down, and then because the weight is so heavy, they end up flying up?
Oh, yeah. I saw one like that. I was like, "Are you muted, Haley?"
Oh no!
Oh,
Here we go again.
well, that's okay. I think we're wrapping up anyway. But let's see if she comes back.
But I thought that it was quite a good group sharing. Hopefully, everyone has some good takeaways.
Yeah. So again, if anyone has a topic, or here she is.
Or maybe we should I'm like have a photo of us with like a Q&A box so that people can put out like
Yeah.
anything that want three of us to just discuss and talk about. It could be
Yeah.
bag things as well.
Yeah, because I don't know that I'm gonna check the comments here. I'd probably like forget about it, but
Oh, but check.
let us know if anyone has any questions or anything like that. We'd love to answer them.
I'm back in business now.
Okay, now we can hear you. But
I know.
yeah,
Sorry, back in business. I have no idea what that was.
I think we're just anyway.
That's
But-
good. I didn't get to laugh and giggle, but I'm sure it was hilarious. I'll watch it later.
Yeah. But all right, any closing thoughts?
No,
Eat
I
more
think we
food. Lift better. Get bigger glutes.
Yes, grow the peach.
Yeah, it's peach season. We'll
All right.
harvest in the winter.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I'm good so far. I think I'll just put out a question box. If people want us to discuss anything.
Cool.
I love that. I'm going to put question
on
marks
the
too.
site.
I
Yeah,
want questions.
everybody.
I'll probably do that.
But cool. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Tanya, have a great night. Haley, have a wonderful day.
You too. Good morning. Good evening. Have a good night. Good morning. Good day.
I go do my fasted cardio. It's only
And,
7:30.
and drive safely, Haley, to the airport.
Oh,
Drive
we're zooming.
No.
Okay, we'll go 5 over the speed limit.
Okay.
5
5 over is a good compromise.
All right. Thank you, ladies. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much.
You.
Take care.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bad bitch, I'm a